Okay, so I wanted to make a quick video on how to solve by factoring. This was back in quadratics that we learned this, so Unit 5. And if your A term is 1, it actually becomes pretty easy. I wanted to make this specific video because some people today were in class, looked like they were really struggling on this idea of factoring. So I figured I would break each one of the types of factoring up into a video so you guys could watch it specifically for each section. So here's the first one. It's factoring with a quadratic with 3 terms. Your A value is 1. These ones are the easier ones because really all you're going to do is unfoil. Okay? So when you unfoil, what you're looking for is your first times your first has to multiply to x squared. Well, the only way you can do that is by taking x times x. Okay? Now your last times your last has to multiply to negative 30. So our two numbers here that we're looking for, they have to multiply to negative 30, and they have to add to 1 because our outside plus our inside has to give us 1x. So add to negative 1, multiply to negative 30. So what are the two numbers that you can think of that would multiply to negative 30 but add to negative 1? So for our factors of 30, you'd have like 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. And the one that works is a negative 6 and a positive 5. Now, if I were to FOIL this, first times my first would get me x squared. My outside is 5x. My inside is negative 6x. 5x and negative 6x would make negative x. So actually I have my signs backwards here. So let me fix that, and that's why it's always good to FOIL it out and double check everything to make sure we have the correct signs and that it's going to work. Okay, let's try it again. First times my first didn't change. My outside's negative 5x. My inside is positive 6x. 6x and negative 5x will get me to positive x. My last will be 6 times negative 5, which is negative 30. So that's what it is in factored form. Now the reason why we factor is because if you have two things that multiply to 0, you can set each of those things equal to 0. We either know x plus 6 equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0. X equals negative 6 or x equals positive 5. Those would be your two solutions. If I plug them back into my original, now the reason why I can factor this is because from step 1 to step 2, even though one's in standard form and one's in factored form, they mean the exact same thing. Okay? I can plug it into my original or into factored form, and it's going to work. Let's try it. Negative 6 squared plus negative 6 minus 30 gets me 0. And if I plug in 5 squared plus 5 minus 30, it also gets me 0. So it works. Okay? So let's keep doing these. I will run through the next couple. I'm not going to go quite as slow with this one. I know then this next one, it has to multiply to negative 6. That's the last term. It has to add to a positive 1. So what are my two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to a positive 1? That's why I messed up over here because I wrote negative 1. It's a positive 1. Okay, so they have to add to positive 1 here as well. So our two good numbers would be 3 and negative 2. So the way this is going to work, it's going to be x plus 3 and x minus 2 equals 0. Double check it. FOIL. First times my first is x squared. Negative 2x, 3x will get me x. Multiply 3 times negative 2, you get negative 6. Keep solving. Either x plus 3 equals 0 or x minus 2 equals 0. X has to be negative 3 or x is 2. Coming down to the next one. My two numbers have to multiply to 21. They have to add to negative 10. So I want to write it in factored form. This is going to be x. This is going to be x. Our two numbers are both going to be negative because they're multiplying to a positive. I add to negative 10. So a negative 7 and negative 3, I believe, will get us there. X times x is x squared. Negative 3x and negative 7x is negative 10x. Negative 3 times negative 7 is a positive 21. That looks good. x minus 7 equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0, x equals 7, or x equals 3. All right, last one of this type. These two are going to multiply to 28. They're going to have to add to negative 11. I know they break apart into x and x. 7 and 4 multiply to 28. So a negative 7 and a negative 4 should get me there. So negative 4x, negative 7x does get me to a negative 11x. Negative 7 times negative 4 is a positive 28. Take each of those, set them equal to 0. X equals 7, or x equals 4. Okay, so that's how you're going to factor if you have a leading coefficient of 1 and it is a quadratic.